with them and Saudi Arabia, for example, or the Middle East. So it's an ideological understanding of Arab identity rather than physical features like skin color or how your hair looks or the way your facial features are structured.
What is or what are the office language of South Sudan? I mean, some call it official language, but in most African countries, what we call the official language is not a language, it's not a national language. You know, usually they are spoken in the offices. So what are the languages that are spoken in the offices? Actually,
after it got its independence, the official language now is English. Like the offices functions in English. All the official documents are in English. And also English is used as a medium of instructions in schools. Yeah. And it's not an indigenous language to South Sudan or to many African countries actually. It's a colonial language that was introduced by the colonialists. So that's what is used.
And how many other, how many languages are in South Sudan?
There are more than 100 languages maybe is spoken by people in South Sudan.
And what is the population of South Sudan?
The population is about 8 million.
Wow.
8 million people. And they speak more than 100 languages. And maybe that's the reason why they chose English language
as a unifying language,
as an official language, although not many South Sudanese actually speak English. Those who speak English are those who went to school and learn in school. But the other languages, the indigenous languages, are also considered as national languages based on the transitional constitution of South Sudan of 2011. And if you go to the market in urban centers or in major cities in the south, people speak Arabic language. And they have their different form of Arabic called Juba Arabic, whereby people will be able to communicate and understand each other given the different languages that they speak. And Arabic is also another language that is common because in the past, before it became independent, the policies that were introduced by the national government actually emphasized the Arabic language because of the fact that the country wanted to stress its Arabic identity. So many people actually were educated in Arabic, and also during the conflict, many people took refuge in the northern part of the country. So they learn Arabic. There are some of those who were born in the north actually. The only language maybe that they know is Arabic language.
What is the religious makeup of Southern Sudan?
The majority of South Sudanese are Christians. And this goes back to the colonial period. Because when the British came, most of the missionaries actually went to the south to spread Christianity there. So majority of Southerners became Christians. And there's a substantial number of Muslims in the south. And there are others, maybe very few, who still adhere to some of their indigenous African beliefs, or they combine both Christianity and their African beliefs in some aspects of their lives.
So what is the religious, what is the refugee situation now in South Sudan?
Refugees from?
People who used to run away from one place to another place.
You mean safety. Those who were displaced during Actually, the majority of Southern Sudanese who were displaced during the conflict, the second civil war, they came back immediately. But particularly those who were in the neighboring countries of Uganda, Kenya, most of them actually came back to the south. And others who were in the north, internally displaced, some of them actually returned to the south, particularly during the referendum period.
Okay.
Yeah, because the country, people were sure that actually the country is going to split. So some people who wanted to vote during the referendum actually left and went to the south, yeah, to participate in the referendum vote. And actually, some of us who were here actually participated in the referendum vote.
So they allowed
like the diaspora to participate, like people in the U.S., people in Canada, Britain, and other cities that has a majority of Southern students actually participated in the referendum vote.
Can you talk a little bit about the public safety in Southern Sudan? Is it a place where violence, especially juvenile violence, is rampant, or is it a safe place?
I cannot talk specifically about the juvenile violence because I have not been there since 2008. But in terms of safety in general, in the country, it's not safe in some areas.
Okay.
Because of the fact that there was and still is inter-ethnic conflict even within the south. In states like Jongule, for example, one of the largest states in the new country, there was and still conflict going on between the different ethnic groups that inhabit that area. In the border areas between the north and the south also, there are conflict going on there. So generally, in general terms, safety issues are still the concern of the country. In cities, I cannot speak to that because I have not been there for a long time. But based on my conversation with my sisters, is that during the day there's nothing. Like nothing will happen, but you have to be careful, and it's almost common in any city, for example, because they live in the capital city, Juba. So I think it's common, like in other cities, you have to take care of yourself. You don't have to go to areas where you'll find yourself in trouble. Yeah.
What about, can you talk a little bit about the gender issues in South Sudan? What is the treatment between men and women?
You always bring me out to that. Yeah. The gender issue, as you know, the South is a patriarchal society.
Okay.
We have to admit that. And in any patriarchal society, the treatment of women is always different as compared to men. Like the customs and traditions that are practiced in the South actually favor men over women. Like women are always considered to be housewives. They have to take care of the domestic responsibilities. And I think this goes back not only to the society itself, but the influences that came from outside during the colonial period, when many Europeans actually introduced a different kind of gender relations or gender understanding in the society. But after many years, and particularly when the second conflict started, the one in 1983, many women actually participated in that conflict. And as a result of that, the leadership of the movement actually realized that they have to acknowledge the contribution of women. So when they signed the peace agreement in 2005, they allocated about 25% of government positions at all levels of government to be allocated for women. And that's when we have seen an increasing number of women in government positions, whether cabinet positions or members of parliament or other civil service positions in the government. But this does not mean that when women are given an affirmative action to participate in the government, that means gender issues that face women actually are eradicated, because some of them are still there, as long as the customary law that affect women's lives is still govern women's position, whether in terms of marriage, in terms of child custody. Like in the South, women have no right of custody of their children. When divorce happens, for example, the father has the right for custody.
Even babies?
Not babies. They can give, like, if it's a baby, then the mother is allowed to take care of the baby until he or she reaches the age of 7.
Okay.
Then it's given to the father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't that come from Islamic thing?
It's influence, and that's why there's a lot of influences from outside, whether from the Europeans or from the Islamic influence. And we have to remember the country was one.
Okay.
Before it split into 2. So there's some remnants of whatever was there is still going on. In terms of property rights, for example, under the customary law, women are not allowed to own property or to own land. Although today, if you go to some of the capital cities, like the cities, women, maybe they have their plots where they can build houses, but traditionally they are not allowed to own property like land. But the constitution, the transitional constitution, actually included that the government should make sure that women are not discriminated against in terms of ownership, property ownership.
So the independent South Sudan now allows women to own properties?
The constitution says that.
Yeah, but the practice still...
But the practice is still, because the constitution actually it strengthens the role of the customary law, that in the first place is still discriminate against women in terms of property ownership. So writing a constitution is one thing, and implementing it is another thing. So we're waiting until it's implemented, and this needs women to campaign for their own right to own land or to be able to participate freely in the government decision making.
Absolutely. Just similar to the U.S. Constitution, where Thomas Jefferson wrote, all men are created equal, yet his wife owns 365 slaves. So, and women couldn't vote until recently. So similar to it. So you got to fight for your rights. What is now the relationship between new independent South Sudan and the North? I mean, what is the political relations?
It's not good. The relationship between the new country and the Republic of Sudan is not good. And this goes back to the deep-seated mistrust and conflict that took place over the years. So there's that mistrust between the North and the South, and is aggravated by the issue of resources, which is oil. And even today, they have not yet resolved the oil issue. Because when they signed the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, the agreement stipulated that the South and the North has to share the oil 50-50. So they continued that from 2005 up until 2011, before the independence. So after the independence, most of the oil went to the South. So the North is left without much oil. And the contradicting thing is that the oil facilities are in the North. So the South needs to use these facilities to transport their oil and export it